Living in an era where everything can be accessed with one click and the world is increasingly interconnected, globalization spread as the impact of the rise of technological advances that are predominantly influenced by the West. To better contextualize, globalization is often regarded as westernization because one that has the resources and seen as better in many things is the West with its history of power. The problem with this massive globalization in art is that it is slowly making art to be less and less meaningful, as well as it's losing its nuance and frequently harming artists because they are constantly being overshadowed by the Western art. And if they want to gain attention globally or even locally, they need to constantly push out new pieces to get attention, making the art world to be tired and loses its magic to the artist. With all of that, we regret the globalization of art proud to propose. The burden the government take in this debate is two things here. A, to prove how the impact of globalization on the nuance of art in various parts of the world significantly being harmed compared to the benefit it gained. B, how in the process of globalization the art and artist is still at loss than benefited. While the opposition may say that globalization will bring attention and acknowledgement to the previously unknown type of art and brings out new style of art, we argue that the highlight and the acknowledgement is really small impact for a lot of countries, yet significantly reduces the authenticity of the local art. Without being established, two arguments I will submit to open up this debate. A, why the globalization of art reduces the nuance of art, which is a really important thing to talk about. Secondly, how in the author analyzes how in the globalization of art are harming artists around the world. First argument that I will submit: why the globalization of art reduces the nuance of art. How do governments serve the house imagine the nuance of art? How can the nuance of art is how can you feel the art and imagine the depth of the art, because the nature of art is for reimagining and conveying emotion in the eyes of the artist, but also the people that show it, which is the audience, so that the art is enjoyable in the way that it is intended to be. And how does the process of globalization alter the nuance of art? Because art is now as widely accessible to everyone and makes it harder for the people to get the nuance of art itself. This is true because of three structural reasons. A, for most of them access art in the open platform, i.e. TikTok and Instagram, etc. It's not like they have to go to the museum that has a lot of explanation and the nuance of the museum itself to enjoy the nuance of art. This is why in the first place they will see art in a visual way and cannot enjoy the dramatic meaning that the art itself has or the art itself intended to have. Secondly, we think talking in the consensus itself, not everyone in art is an art enjoyer. The opposition need to realize about that. Before, the art enjoyer most likely to have to go to the art place such as museum to enjoy certain art. But what does it mean? But now, because people can access it very easily, this means that the participants that see show art are not necessarily people that have the idealistic of art, but also former people that have their own tastes and mindset, which means that they want to say openly what they think on the comment box. This is gonna influence the other person to determine whether or not the art is good or bad, rather than try to look and see for a longer time because they already have their own thesis in their mind. See, this is linked to the understanding of art meaning. Most art have their own meaning to persecute, i.e. art that is trying to show suffering. But if right now people cannot understand that, obviously they cannot understand the meaning, that obviously they cannot enjoy it. This is also make them very likely to judge based on the visual. This is also prove why the likelihood of judgment will be more clear in the governments of the house. And what does it impact? It in the nuance and art, the meaning of art is there. People are not fully absorbing and feeling the nuance of art because it is as common as crowd outside, which makes the appreciation of art to be lessened on the side of opposition with the globalization. And compared to before arts being globalized, where people are able to get access and to see and feel the art, are the people that are genuinely want to experience and appreciate the art in and of itself. People go to museum and reserve the nuance in that, or the people collect art that makes art to be valuable and can be truly enjoyed rather than just looking at the screen, looking at the visual of art without really trying to understand what is the meaning of art. Secondly, then, how this will overshadow the local culture. The opposition main point will be that this gives chance and opportunity for various artwork around the world to shine and getting recognized globally. Two structural reasons proving this is likely. A. There are many forms of art throughout the world, making the chance of this art getting highlighted is to be very, very small compared to other type of art. Secondly, it's going to be being overshadowed by the Western art because how many pieces of Indonesian poetry you know rather than whatever Shakespeare created in the past? You probably know about the latter one. Compared to now, if it is not being globalized, the local culture will exist in the society that it is already exists. For example, the Japanese culture exists in the Japanese culture, in the Japanese society. Dayanese culture exists in the Dayanese society, which is totally fine because this culture and this society already know how to preserve that type of art to begin with. You guys don't need to globalize it in order to preserve the art itself because it is already being preserved by the society in the first place. So all of this globalization, all of this type of local art are going to be much more better being preserved in their own culture, even if the other people don't know about this type of art. It is completely fine because at least the art is not going to be lost in time because other people are preferring other type of art rather than their own local art, which is comparatively much more better than anything the opposition will bring in this debate. Second argument then. And the author analyzes how the globalization of art are harming the artists around the world. Let's frame how does the process of globalization will put sort of an expectation on artists to begin with. How do we imagine this? Let's take an example of Indonesian music, for example. Before foreign music being popularized, the sound and the arrangement of Indonesian music is very unique, very versatile, and many local genres such as danduk and keroncong. But now with the foreign genre being pushed and glorified by people, especially the young people that oftentimes see dangdut as musik kampungan or refuse to even listen to nyindan because of what? Because what is cool right now is pop genre or rock or mellow genre. This makes the local music to be overshadowed by these genres. This pressure the artists to eventually adapt and ended up abandoning their Indonesian roots to be able to get the slightest amount attention for their work. For example, this Monica, they are trying to reach international audience and ended up abandoning the uniqueness of her music that makes her flop even in Indonesia. Why is this expectation harmful to begin with? Clear structural reason. Because now people have sort of an imaginary standard of how the art should looks like in order to be appealing. For example, in webtoon, people are putting standards on how beautiful artwork and comparing it to the other artists with widely different art style and making the webtoon to be making their webtoon to be overlooked, which makes an internal pressure to the artists to try and mimic that art style and losing their passion and interest to making that art. Secondly, realizing that they need to continuously pop up new art and or working in order to get their art known and making the abuse in the creative industry very likely. Because of high demand right now, people employees working in JJK in living horrible life, and even if people will get attention globally because of their uniqueness, it will not be likely in the first place. It will be proven before proud to propose.